So for this video, we're going to look at reverse percentages. So here's some exam type questions that are here. I'm not going to do all of these. I just wanted you to have a little look at what they sort of looked like. I'm just going to look at the last line of each. It says, how many members did it have a year ago? How many pupils were not wearing school uniform at the start of last year? How much was it worth 2 years ago? How much did I pay for the car last September? How much was the painting worth when it was bought? What was it worth when it was bought? So you can sort of see the language that's used here. We're sort of saying what was it before, so that we're going in reverse, and that's the way to spot that you're going to do this process rather than the appreciation, depreciation or compound interest, which we do in the other tutorial. So if we've got this, we're saying how much was it a year ago? Let's have a look at the first one. So a gym's membership has increased by 17% over the past year. It now has 585 members. How many did it have a year ago? Now the reverse bit's going to come, instead of multiplying, we're going to divide. That's going to come later. You start the question by saying, right, what happened in the first place? So a gym's membership has increased by 17%. So we're going to do that as normal. It's 100%. It was at 100% and it increased by 17%. So it went up to 117%. That's what we have, which we would change and write as a multiplier as 1.17. I've done that by dividing by 100. So if you're not sure, you could just write divide by 100 there to remind you that we're getting to 1.17. So that's how you get your multiplier. Now this is what we would do if we were trying to increase something by 17% and we're adding onto the 100. We would multiply by the 1.17. But we're trying to go back what happened before. So the opposite of multiplying is dividing. So it had 585 members. We're going to see what it was before, so we're going to divide by 1.17. So 585 divided by 1.17, 500 members. So I had 500 members a year ago. And that's the main process, so let's do it again. So question number 2. The number of school pupils not wearing school uniform has decreased by 72% since the start of last year. There are now 42 pupils not wearing school uniform. How many pupils were not wearing school uniform at the start of last year? So remember, we're going to deal with the reverse bit when we divide. The first bit, you still want to do the decrease. So it started at 100% and it decreased by 72%. So it went to 28%. which we're going to write as a decimal 0.28. Remember, to get from a percentage to a decimal, we've divided by 100. Right, so we've got this, what would normally be our multiplier, but we're going in reverse. So there are now 42 pupils. 42 divided by 0.28 equals 150 pupils. That's you. I'm going to do one more. So question number 3. My house has increased in value by 15% in the last 2 years. Oh, sorry, you can't see it. 15% in the last 2 years. It is now worth £230,000. How much was it worth 2 years ago? So the 2 years bit doesn't matter. You're not going to take that into consideration because it doesn't matter if it was 1 year or 2 years because it went up by 15% in the 2 years. We're still going back. You don't need to do anything with the 2. All we need to do is the house increased in value by 15%. So we do our 100% and it increased in value. So you add the 15%, 115%. Remember to change to a decimal from a percentage, divide by 100, 1.15. So we've worked out what happened. It was increased by 1.15. Now we go back to what it was before by using divide. So it is now worth 230,000. So 230,000 divided by 1.15. $200,000. And that's what it was worth. So that's your main thing for reverse percentages. So now you could go on and try the rest of these.